time to go big or go home with the division manager of primary residential mortgage in Hendersonville, Tennessee. Now, here's the entrepreneur and mortgage extraordinaire himself, James Harper.
What would your mama say?
Go big or go home.
Well, thank you everyone for tuning in and listening to this week's podcast of Go Big or Go Home. We are coming to you from our secret headquarters once again in Hendersonville, Tennessee, and excited to get things going once more with our bi-weekly podcast. And we have a very special guest today. But first of all, I'm James Harper, and my goal is to make a difference in your life. I want you to sit back and open your mind for the next 30 to 45 minutes and think more and bigger for yourself and more exciting things for yourself, I should say, than you've ever believed. And hopefully we'll give some inspiration in the next 30 or 45 minutes. Maybe you can get a little golden nugget to be able to take away and start doing a little something different in your life. So let's put all the excuses away and let's start thinking about what we can do next and think out of the box. And so listeners, welcome Erica Brister to the show today. Yay.
Hello.
All right. Woo! So we appreciate you being here. We have a lot to talk about in a short period of time. But first of all, Erica.
Yes.
Let's talk about you. And I always always want to talk about. I want to get somebody to cry on the show.
Okay.
I want to get really emotional sometime.
You want me to cry?
Well, we'll see if we can get there. But I got to get to the right moment where I can make that happen.
Okay.
So far in all the shows we've done, I've yet to see that happen, but I'm convinced that one day it will get there. All right. So, tell us a little bit about your growing up and your background and some of the different careers that you've had. Kind of do us the quick one-off version.
Quick one-off. Okay, so I grew up in Tennessee, here in Sumner County, and I decided to go off to Boston, Massachusetts for college. Right before I went to Boston, though, I made the circuit here in Middle Tennessee at Belmont and Vanderbilt, and I ended up at Emerson College in Boston. I spent 6 years up there, and I was bound and determined to go into broadcast journalism, and I had a huge passion and still do for the arts, and something was drawing me back to Nashville. Nashville is a super cool city. Middle Tennessee was just really drawing me home. So I came home, and about 6 months after I came home, my dad came to me and said, if you want this business, come and get it. Otherwise, I'm going to sell it. And that's how I ended up at US Pest Protection. Anyways.
Yes, I failed to introduce you properly.
That's
yes,
okay.
You are the CEO, right, of US Pest.
Yes, sir.
Local here in Hendersonville, Tennessee. Mm-hmm. And man, I think it's it's a business. Obviously, it's a huge business. I know mine's reoccurring every 3 months or 4 months at my personal home. Mm-hmm. And it's one of those things that just never goes away. It's a service that people are always going to need,
right.
Especially if you participate in that kind of service. But nobody likes bugs. Nobody likes insects. So we want them gone.
That's right.
And so it's a reoccurring thing in my mind of a service that will just never go away.
Right.
So just speaking on the little bit that you just did right now about your passion for arts and so how do you get in the bug business? How do you get to be in that journey and say, this is what I want to do when I grow up, and this is where I want to be, and this is what makes me happy?
Yeah, so what's interesting about the pest control industry is right now where it stands today, it's not a trade. It's not something that people want to grow up being in the bug business. It's not glamorous. There's nothing sexy about pest control.
Mortgages either. I mean, there's nothing glamorous about talking about mortgages.
Right?
I mean,
like
it's
interest
like boring.
rates? Like what?
No, who cares?
Yeah, right.
So we try to make it glamorous, and it sounds like
trying to make it sexy and glamorous.
That's
right. So how do you do that? And bringing in the creative mind to pest control. And I sat down at my desk after my dad said he was going to sell it unless I came and got it. I sat
Okay,
there.
so this is a family business.
It is a family business.
Okay,
Yep.
all right.
And I asked myself how I was going to run a pest control company with all of my passion and all of my inspiration for art and for humanity and for what I wanted to do in life and what I felt like I was born to do, which was make a difference. So how am I going to translate that into pest control? And
Very interesting.
what essentially happened was I just did not conform to the industry, and I decided to transform and conform the company to reflect who I am and who I feel like God has asked me to be in the world. And so what's ended up happening is all this talent and all these amazing people from all over the country really have are attracted to US Pest, not because of the pest control, but because of the environment and the culture and the way in which we operate and how we inspire and motivate each other, both in the office as well as our customers. Because from a customer interaction standpoint, from a human element standpoint, we're not in the bug business. We're in the people business.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so you've heard that
Relationship
before.
business, yes.
But this technology that we're facing we're in this technology age and this information age. I mean, 10 years ago, who was doing podcasts, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how does this human interaction work now? How does on a micro level, how do we take that human interaction and make sure that it doesn't get diluted down with technology and over automation and machine learning? And how do we make a difference in people's lives for $15 a month on some cases to the $125 quarterly pest control account? How do we make a difference in people's lives from a human interaction standpoint using technology? So that's kind of our spearhead and our goal, and that's the art coming out of me and the journalism coming out of me, because when I'm doing business and I'm operating and growing the company, I'm essentially narrating the story as I go. So I'm not necessarily writing in journalism or painting, which is what I love to do, but I'm painting with real life, and I'm narrating with real people and creating real experiences between human beings.
So when did you officially take over the company?
2008, I guess.
2008. And prior to 2008, what was your career then, and what were some of the things that you were involved with that helped prepare you for your next journey, or the journey that you're in right now?
So I was doing a lot of photography. I had a photography background and had a photography business, as well as in Boston I did some real estate. I worked for this awesome lady named Beth Dickerson up in Boston. She was Boston's #1 real estate agent, and she taught me a lot. Mm-hmm. And up in Boston at the time, it was just booming. And we were showing $10, $15, $20 million condos that were 2,000 square feet. You know, it's totally different. Now we're seeing Nashville really having a similar type of boom. And so that taught me a lot, being in real estate and being around people from all over the world that were buying condos in a really urban setting. And then photography, of course, capturing the human element, and then journalism. I really learned how to ask questions and get the answers that I wanted and needed. And then in college, I mean, the college experience up in the Northeast was just amazing, the opportunity that I had.
So let's talk some sales. So in 2008, when you took over the company, what were sales back then on an annual basis?
Total?
Yeah. Just give me a rough dollar figure, what they were.
Oh, gosh.
And what are they today, if you don't mind sharing with the audience?
Total revenue, I would say, was probably $3.5 million or so.
Mm-hmm. And that's when you took over the company? Mm-hmm. Okay. And so 10 years, or actually 11 years later, what's that growth look like to you?
A little over $8 million.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Very good. Very good. And I know when people ask me those same questions, I always get a little skittish, because I'm like, I know I'm doing pretty good, but
Yeah.
I know I want more.
Sure.
I know I'm not where my goals might
Yeah.
have me or want to be. So they say, oh, well, you're doing fantastic. You're doing great. And you are doing great. But in your mind, I can already see here by looking at you, you probably have a bigger vision in your head of where you probably wanted to be.
Right.
But that growth's really good. That growth's really good.
Yeah.
And so where do you think that, where do you see yourself in the next 5 years in that same growth pattern? And what are you doing today to help prepare for that?
So great question, but we're not going to be in the same growth pattern. The growth pattern is going to change drastically. We have really strategically created a new brand for US Pest Protection. We're Tennessee's, well, the world's only bee-friendly pest control company. And what that means is about 3 years ago, I fell in love with bees, basically.
Bee friendly.
Yes, bee-friendly.
Little spin on word.
Yeah. And so we positioned ourselves from in the market to be an environmentally friendly, but not just on words, not just on paper. We actually train on being environmentally friendly. We train on conserving the pest. The best pest is what we call them at US Pest.
Okay.
The best pest, the pollinators, yeah.
The best pest.
The best pest, yes. And we eradicate the threat pest, so we don't want to kill the pests that are good for the environment. So we have strategically and developed partnerships with beekeepers all over Tennessee. I've met with the governor and the commissioners at a state level on several different ideas for how Tennessee can become a blueprint for how other pest control companies all across the country can work with beekeepers in order to carry out the same initiative, because it's not about it's about a misunderstanding between industries, the beekeeping industry and the pest control industry, and we're really on the same page. We just need to do more talking and more conversating with each other and working together more. So from a branding standpoint, we've really set the standard when it comes to being bee-friendly, as well as our professionalism and our protecting what matters most, because a lot of people say that now. They weren't saying it 5 years ago, but a lot of people say it now. But we do it, we back it up, and we have a lot of mechanisms in place to make sure that we are doing what we say we're doing.
Well, I don't know about all the listeners out there, but who would have thunk that all that thought goes into everything that you do each and every day? But I never would have thought that there's a way, I guess chemically, to preserve certain insects or bees or whatever they might be, to survive versus another. But I think that's awesome. So how do you keep, not to deep dive into this too much, but how do you preserve bees relative to the chemicals that you're using?
Yeah, so it's not even about the chemicals or the products that we're using. What it's about is applying them, because our industry it's several different tactics, right? So the first one of the ways that we're doing it as a pest control company, US Pest is doing it, is we are turning the industry into a trade organization, a trade industry, so that people really have to learn, because we already have to be certified by the state, we have to be licensed by the state, we're regulated by the EPA, we're under all of this pretty heavy legislation or regulation, and we're required to have a very high level of understanding of what we're doing, but we are going to really train on the trade of being a pest control professional, or an exterminator, as people call them. So that's the first line of defense. The second part is really, it's a very old school method, which is working with the environment to make sure that pests are not invading someone's home, because nobody wants brown recluse or spiders or flies or ladybugs or stink bugs or all that stuff inside their house, right? So we do need to protect the homeowners, but it's about training on not applying product incorrectly, right? Or applying it correctly. And then when it comes to the mosquito treatments, that's really everybody's talking about all over the country, is that the herbicides that are put out for lawn care and mosquito treatments are really causing a lot of downfall with the bees because of the drift and because of those little white flowers that are all over, I forget what they're called at the moment, but they're all over the grass but before it gets mowed.
Yeah.
So bees love those. What are they?
They're the little cotton thingies.
Right. Not chrysanthemums, but they're something.
We'll have to Google that.
But so working with the homeowners to mow their grass before we come out and apply a pesticide to their lawn, because Lyme disease and Rocky Mountain spotted fever, nobody wants to get that, right?
Right.
And it's really expensive to do just an organic only oil type product, and it's not as long lasting. So there's different measures that we can put into place to just from an application method as well. That's a long answer, and but it's a thick conversation to have when it comes to pest control.
Well, I think to kind of go backwards a little bit, I'd like to understand a little bit more on how you make your industry sexy, like you had said. I know you were involved with you went to the Nashville Sounds and did some kind of an event down there.
Yeah.
Explain some of those types of things that you try to do to make your business sexy and to really try to get people engaged. I mean, and develop those long-term relationships.
Yeah, so the Nashville Sounds are a great partnership that we have. We just started working with them last year, and they are amazing. They're very creative. They are willing to do whatever we want to do, and they're local, great brand. So we love partnering with them. We partnered with the Predators 3 years ago now.
To be the Nashville Predators for all those outside of the state.
Yeah, of course, the Nashville Predators.
That's right. Everybody knows the Nashville Predators.
And so we've our sponsorships that we do, and then we partnered with Lee Company. Lee Company is another great local company that we kind of have a referring business back and forth with. And then as far as the sexiness of the industry goes, I really recruit people that have talent, and I do that through recruiting people that have ambition and that entrepreneurial spirit, which is what your show is about.
Sure.
But some people don't want to step out on their own and have all the responsibilities of payroll and taxes and quarterly taxes, and there's a lot of responsibility that goes into being an entrepreneur, which is great. But that entrepreneurial spirit in America is dying.
Sure, it is.
Yeah.
It is. Which is a big reason for the show, absolutely.
Which is awesome that you're having this, but US Pest, I look at US Pest as an entrepreneurial biome, I guess, because there's no limit to what you can make at the company. So when I tell someone that's not necessarily have the means or the confidence yet to go out on their own, that they can make as much money as they want to make here. You can write your own paycheck. All you need is ambition and work ethic and a great attitude, and we'll provide everything else. And I have an environment where you can make mistakes, and it's okay. I have an environment where I want people to bring all their ideas to the table, and they get to see them transform the lives of the people that work there as well as our customers. So when we get the phone call from a customer that says, "Hey, you've restored my faith in humanity," that makes whoever was interacting with them feel amazing. And it has nothing to do with pest control.
Yeah, and I think, from a philanthropy point of view, there's so many resources out there on the internet that you can go and research things and look up things and analyze things and see how things operate and flow together. But what's amazing is the resource. I mean, when I was growing up, we had to go to the library. And we had to do the whatever they call that
index,
the index cards.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. You know exactly,
I love them.
Where I'm coming from.
Yeah,
and things were much harder to understand entrepreneurship.
Right.
Man, there is so much out there on the web, and there's so much out there on the internet that you can find and learn how to do things. But yet, entrepreneurship is down.
Right.
And it's people not wanting to take a chance in stepping out of their comfort zone to do something different.
Right.
For fear of failing.
Right.
For fear they're going to jeopardize their family. For fear that they may look frowned upon for not succeeding or doing something silly.
Right.
And I shared this on one of my other episodes. I'm an engineer by degree, and people think I was crazy when I jumped into the mortgage business. And no different than they probably said about yourself.
Right.
Hey, you're in the photography business and you're in real estate and you've got this experience and this and that, and all of a sudden you're a CEO of a pest company.
Right.
But
you know nothing. The wolves are going to come out to get
right,
you.
and you're going to fail, and all the naysayers out there. What do you say on how your experience prepared you, and how some of that experience carried over into what you do now from your previous careers or past lives or chapters, I say?
Yeah, so I would say that it's I spent a lot of years doubting my instinct, and I think a lot of people do that. I think that the best way to be an entrepreneur in today's we have this gig economy that's going on right now, right? Which is where everyone is. You've got the Uber and the Lyft and the delivery drivers, so that people can have a taste of that entrepreneurship. But at the end of the day, they're still partnering with DoorDash and the Grubhubs and the different delivery type companies, but they can have a taste of it there. So partnering with someone like US Pest or with a company that has that culture, I think is the best way to engage in the entrepreneurial mindset, and that has almost mentors that are already there that are encouraging you and cheerleading you on and helping you get up when you make mistakes. So the first several years of being the president and CEO, there was a lot of doubt in the vision and in my inspiration and in my motivation, and that can I want to help people, and will this ever die in me if I'm doing pest control? And the truth is that it doesn't, and it doesn't matter where we're at. We can be who we're born to be no matter where we're at. It does not matter the industry. It doesn't matter the position. You can make a difference and explode wherever you're at, wherever you're put, right?
Sure. Well, so I know that I have the answer to this already, but what is your biggest fear today?
So I do not.
Because I think everyone has some doubt. Maybe it's not direct fear, but everyone has some doubt as to what their capabilities are, or maybe they've made a decision on a hire. Maybe they've made a financial obligation that was a mistake that could jeopardize the rest of the employees, or
so I literally have done everything you've just said.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
survived
So
it
have I.
all. Right. So
still, I think I did one yesterday.
yeah, right. I know every year it keeps getting, the mistakes keep getting more expensive and more expensive and more dangerous and more dangerous. So I really, honestly, do not have any fears. Because every time I've noticed over my lifetime that I've had any fears, and it's almost like they come true. So I try not to,
You've created that reality.
Right. Yeah. And so when I started the Tennessee Honey Festival, people were telling me that it wasn't going to work, and that they were going to come after me with pitchforks, and it didn't happen. And it's actually helped, and Tennessee is really making a name for itself in the country. So fear, I don't have. Of course, I mean, as a human being, I have fear. I have fear about my kids and, that kind of thing. But it's just primal, I think, instinct more than fear that's on an emotional level.
So, I think,
I have fear you're going to make me cry during this podcast.
Well, I'm trying to get there, but still haven't discovered what path I need to go down. But I am analyzing you.
Okay, I'm analyzing you too.
Okay, great.
Okay,
we're on the same page. All right, so So you had a major accomplishment. You got married 12 years ago.
Yes.
And you love your husband, says he's amazing. What does he bring to the table for you to help
my goodness.
to help push you in ways you've never been pushed. Now I might get you.
Yes. Okay. So this is a really interesting part of my story, but I went all through college. I didn't like date anybody or anything. Mm-hmm. And I thought something was wrong with me. Mm-hmm. Right? Are you married?
Yes.
Okay.
No, not right now.
Oh, no?
I was.
Oh, you were? Okay.
But dating someone seriously now.
Okay, cool.
Engaged.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
So, almost the same thing.
Okay.
Full circle.
Do y'all have a date set?
No, we don't yet.
Okay.
We just got engaged actually in August.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
You're going to need to set a
and
date,
we are
though.
expecting too.
Oh.
Yes.
Nice.
Another child, a third child.
Okay. With this, you have 2 children from a previous marriage?
Previous and one on the way. Okay. Another baby girl.
Oh, yay.
God is working all kinds of craziness on me, putting all these women in my life. It's a different story, a different podcast on itself. Plus all the women that work for me as well. I think it's there's something that I'm supposed to learn.
So let me tell you. So I didn't have any relationship, and I thought I was committed to my career. I was committed to being a podcast journalist. I was committed to photography. I was really just thought, okay, I'm gonna live the rest of my life single, And I am downtown Nashville in a parking lot, and up walks my now husband, and I, for the first time in my entire life, got butterflies in my stomach, and I knew at that moment that we were going to get married.
It was in God's plan.
Totally in God's plan. Totally. And he really is my soulmate. He's my helpmate. He really was sent. Like, I was saved for him. He was sent for me. We were sent for each other. And that really restored that I was right. Because God had always told me, hold out. I've got someone special for you. And I thought I was crazy. I really thought I was crazy. And when I finally met him, I realized that I wasn't crazy, and that, that passion and that small voice inside that drives me and causes me to work hard and love hard and be passionate and wake up early and work late and, do things I don't necessarily want to do, and then just that it's real.
So how does he give you balance?
Oh my gosh, he doesn't give me any balance. We're just alike.
Oh, okay. Well, that's.
But he's my master. He's a master encourager. He is very encouraging, and he is very loving. He is an ideal husband.
And so, what do you think that you give back to him?
Oh my gosh. The same. I encourage him. I give him a lot of heartburn, honestly. But we encourage each other. We're each other's partners. He's got a lot of ambitions and a lot of
Is he
drive.
involved in the business at all?
Yeah, he is. He has been involved for the past 2 or 3 years now. And
what was that like? Because my fiance just recently has come to work for me, and I said, no way, it's not going to happen ever. I don't believe in that.
Yeah.
And she came to work for me for another purpose, but it was to basically get trained with me and then maybe move on to something else, another business venture that I'm involved with. But as she came on board, she immediately just picked it up so fast, and she really has my wheels spinning because of how fast she's picked it up. And now I'm realizing I definitely need her as a resource, and definitely need her as part of my company and my brand and everything that I do.
So it motivates you.
So it's worked out beyond my expectations.
Yeah.
And I was my own paradigm saying that it wouldn't work.
Right. Because a lot of people say it doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I had this idea in my head.
Yeah.
And it's not going to work.
Right.
You don't have your wife or your spouse work for you or significant other.
Yeah.
Because that's just spending too much time together, and it's not a good idea. And she's now worked for me for over 3 months, and I've been pleasantly surprised. And my business has turned around because it's given me more freedom to do what I'm naturally my highest and best use is.
Yeah.
And she's kind of been in my seat, helping do some of the things that I used to be doing that's time consuming and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
So
That's right. That's pretty much my story too. Absolutely. I mean, he's come in and he does some of the things that I used to do, but he really knows how to rally the troops, I guess. He really knows how to, he's very kind, but
good
he's also...
cop, bad cop.
No,
Not
we're
too
both
bad.
kind of good and bad,
Okay.
you know?
At the same time.
Yeah, at the same time. But he knows how to motivate people, and he loves people so much. He loves them, you know? And so when you're around JK, you can just feel his
Energy.
And he's authentically like present with you, you know, and so he wants to help people. So he drives a lot of our sales, a lot of our employee engagement, a lot of our corporate team like feeds off of his energy. So wherever he is, he's helpful.
You know, one of the things in corporate America today is that companies in general have lost the loyalty factor with employees, and employees in return don't feel that coming from the companies.
Right.
You see it obviously in larger scale companies where pensions are no longer there. Pensions, for the most part, don't exist anymore unless
Right.
you're maybe in some government related jobs or whatever. But most manufacturing, you know, they don't have any pensions.
Right.
So it's whatever you save in your 401k,
Yeah.
So I think that creates a certain amount of an unhappiness with employees, and where they go in 9-to-5 jobs like we talked about earlier, and just continue to be in the same rat race
Right.
every single day. So with your company, how do you feel like you've changed the culture for the employees that work for you, and get out of that stigmatism?
So when they're interviewed, they are asked if they're looking for a job or if they want to go to work. And we're very quickly to tell them that this is not a place at US Pest Protection where you come to a job or where you come to work. It's just not. It's some people, and they know within the interview process that they're not coming to work in the morning. They're coming to an opportunity. And I know that's cliche, but it's the truth. And so we also have a saying at the company where early on when I first started, I asked myself again, like, okay, well, how am I going to take my mind and my entrepreneurial spirit into this company and create something? And I felt like I wanted everyone that worked at US Pest Protection and everyone that worked with me and around me, I wanted them and the customers, I wanted everyone to feel like after they interacted with US Pest, I wanted them to make babies. I wanted to make babies, right? Like through the companies that I was leading. And so I wanted them to, when they go home from work, they go home from their opportunity at US Pest, I want them to feel so good and so accomplished and feel so proud. And they put in a hard day's work. They've taken care of customers. They have a meaningful existence. What they do matters. And then they walk through the front door, male or female. They walk through the front door. They are ready for their spouse and ready to make babies.
So so have you ever surveyed that and how that's performed?
Yeah, we have a lot of babies. We have a lot of babies. But that's essentially how we get away from the work and the job, you know, because nobody at US Pest, and hopefully our customers will translate that at some point to our customer base, but no one at US Pest ever feels like they come to work or have a job.
So what's next in your life? What's your next chapter look like? What is where do you feel inspired to go from here in your journey in life in your career?
The Tennessee Honey Festival is having its third annual event down at One City in Nashville.
What is the Tennessee Honey Festival?
So the Tennessee Honey
For all the
Festival,
listeners out there.
Yes, the Tennessee Honey Festival is getting nationwide attention. It is a festival where all of the local honey vendors come to display their honey. They get in free. They don't have to pay a dime in order to produce and bring in their honey exhibit, and they get to sell all their honey to everybody that comes. We've had over 10,000 people that came the past 2 years, both years. And at the festival, we're going to have beekeepers that will be giving different lectures on beekeeping, and the master gardeners. We're talking to from the Blackberry Farms master gardener coming in to give an hour lecture at the honey festival. And then we'll have live entertainment, and we've got some really exciting acts.
And when is this generally? What time of the year?
This year it's September 26th on Saturday, and we are going to be
in 2020.
In 2020, yes. 2020, September 26th.
Well, you know, man, this bee business is a big deal.
It is a big deal.
I mean, I remember doing a loan for one of my clients who basically that was his primary income, was to sell beehives or lease beehives. I didn't even know you could do such a thing.
Right.
But you essentially can, package these beehives up and make sure the queen bee is in there.
Right.
And you ship these beehives off to wherever. Uh-huh. And people lease these beehives. They cultivate the honey, if that's what you call it. Mm-hmm. And then send them back. And I'm scratching my head, and I'm like, there's just a business for everything. So listeners out there, if you want to get in the beehive business, there's some good money in that. If that's something that you're passionate about, try it. Dig into it. Do your research, because there are some people still making some good money making honey. Making money honey. Holy cow, that was great. That was really good.
Yeah, well, and it's a really new industry.
It's a new industry. I agree.
But ancient.
But it's a dying industry because of the bees themselves environmentally, right?
Well, the Tennessee Honey Festival, one of its aims is to protect the local Tennessee honeybee. So one of the issues with that isn't just the pesticides that we apply, right? Or that homeowners purchase from Lowe's and Home Depot, those pesticides, but it's also the migratory bees that happen, like from Napa Valley, California, down to the orange orchards in Florida, all the way up to Maine, orchards up in Maine, right? So bees carry diseases, so it's kind of like when they get sick or get a cold or something, so they can transport those diseases while they're in Tennessee. So it's really, there's a local Tennessee honeybee that we're trying to protect as well in all the states, because our local flowers that we plant that are native to Tennessee, the local Tennessee honeybee is specifically interested in those flowers.
Well, you know where I notice a difference?
Where?
They no longer fly around my Coke cans when I'm on the golf course in the golf cart.
Right. And it's probably from...
I know that sounds crazy, but it used to drive me nuts when bees would just keep flying around my Coke cans when I was growing up and maybe, midlife. Mm-hmm. And now you just don't see that anymore.
Right.
The bees just aren't around, flying around and trying to do what they normally do.
Right.
Wow, we've really gone crazy on this one, haven't we? But it is good stuff, though.
It is.
And it goes back to the fundamental entrepreneurship.
Right.
Here's an industry. Mm-hmm. We talked about killing bugs and insects and things of that nature, but you're also trying to preserve something that's also useful to the environment. You have a whole business that surrounds yourself with this philosophy and this in trying to make this a better place for bees, but also get rid of the things that drive us crazy and stink up our house or whatever, and
make babies. But I'm just kidding.
And then we got a culture over here of trying to make babies over at US Pest, and then we also have an avenue where you can have your own entrepreneurship and get in the beehive business.
Right.
I think we've covered it all.
Yeah.
I think that is awesome.
Absolutely.
So. So what do you think is so beyond your next steps? Anything else you have on your plate?
Well, we have this summer coming up. We have at uspestsales.com. We have a program for
uspestsales.com.
That's right. We have a program for seniors in high school and college individuals, really anybody should do it, but we're targeting those markets for them to make summer money, which is anywhere from $25,000 to $55,000 within 12 weeks. And what we're going to be teaching them is a lot of what we're talking about, which is that entrepreneurial abilities, which is we're going to teach them competence, and we're going to teach them how to stay optimistic, because in entrepreneurship you can get really depressed really easily sometimes.
Yeah, for sure.
So how do you stay consistently every day, day in and day out, and don't give up, and you stay positive and professional and consistent and just keep going? That's what we need to teach kids. So this summer is our first one that we're going to do, and we're recruiting about 30 different young adults.
Like an internship?
No, they're going to get paid plenty of money.
Okay.
They are going to learn, because they don't teach sales in school.
That's right.
Right? They don't teach, there's some entrepreneurship in school, but there's nothing like
Sales 101. Right.
getting out there and getting dirty with sales and getting the door slammed in your face and the no's and getting up the next morning and doing it anyways, and then winning some more and then losing. So we're really going to take kids through this experience, or these young professionals through a 12-week experience where they're going to make a lot of money, and they're going to learn some valuable lessons of entrepreneurship. And
What was the worst sales job you ever had where you thought, God, this sucks?
Oh,
I'll tell you what mine was.
what?
I sold windows door to door. And I had a telemarketer that would call and set up these appointments to sell windows. And the whole goal was you go there and try to sell them windows and then roll all their debt into it. And that was the
Right.
pitch. That was the incentive, right? Because nobody really wants to just buy windows for $10,000. But, if I can get all my debt rolled into it.
Right.
So I remember going on a Friday night, and I didn't want to go. I was wanting to go out and party and go crazy that night. And I go on this sales call, drive an hour and a half to it, and knock on the door. And I hear all the kids in there, and no one's coming to the door. Mm-hmm. So cell phones were barely present then. So I go to a payphone, say, hey, this lead, I hear him in there. No one's answering the phone. Are you sure I'm at the right spot? Long story short, it was just a big joke. I'd driven an hour and a half to go there, and I was so upset that I had wasted my time going on this journey to a call that I didn't want to go to on a Friday night to sell windows I didn't want to sell. Mm-hmm. And I thought, man, this sucks. And so I politely made a quick phone call on the way out and ordered 12 Domino's pizzas to that house, and then kept on going. But
wow.
Everything's fine other than that.
Wow. So was it taking advantage of people?
Well, they had set up the call, but they really weren't interested in buying windows, and it was just a bad telemarketing setup.
Yeah.
So
I think
but that's hard sales. I mean,
that is hard sales.
It's no different than selling sweepers or
It's not.
or
That's right.
something of the like. But I've sold some pretty tough stuff.
Yeah.
Including mortgages, which is
Yeah.
what I'm in today.
I got sent down to Atlanta with 4 guys, and that was probably the worst the sales experience I had, because I didn't stay the night, but they were encouraging everyone to sleep in one room, and it was door to door in Atlanta.
Oh, yeah.
And because some door to door sales companies are rough.
Boy, you ain't kidding.
Yeah. So this one was that was probably my worst sales experience, but I made my quota every day and had a lot of fun, but I hightailed it out of there after.
So was that the worst job you've ever had?
The worst job I've ever had.
Worst job. Wow.
Yeah.
I've had a bunch of them.
Yeah.
Because you know why? I think I always see that there's an opportunity in every
Yeah.
job, and then of course I've realized getting into it, I'm like, oh wow, I need some help. So listen, I've enjoyed having you on the show today, man. It's been awesome, really getting to know you. I think you've shared a lot of insight, man. Some things I certainly didn't know about the bug business, but man, the bug business is big. The bug business is big.
And it's sexy at US Pest.
And it's sexy at US Pest. So that's awesome. So thank you, everyone, for joining our show today. Erica Brister from US Pest, CEO, entrepreneur at heart, and humanitarian spirit to want to make more babies. at US Pest. We appreciate you being on the show. Let us know how awesome we are by leaving a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you are on. Like us on Facebook at Go Big or Go Home. And if you haven't been able to see us on any of the podcast platforms, then certainly visit us at www.nashvillemortgagelenders.com. And we want to give a quick plug to you before we say goodbye. Visit your website at
uspest.com or tennesseehoneyfestival.com.
And if you reference Go Big or Go Home, she might give you some kind of a discount.
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
not
50%
really sure.
off.
There you go.
50% off.
We'll see how many of those come in. Thank you, everyone, and have a great day and have a great week.
Primary Residential Mortgage, Inc., NMLS 3094. James Harper, Division Manager, Primary Residential Mortgage, Hendersonville, Tennessee. NMLS 71317-131 Saundersville Road, Suite 140, Hendersonville, Tennessee 37075. Primary Residential Mortgage, Inc. is an equal housing lender. Some products and services may not be available in all states. Credit and collateral are subject to approval. Terms and conditions apply. Programs, rates, terms, and conditions are subject to change and are subject to borrower's qualification.